to our new virtual excursions. We have switched the format up a bit, and we hope you're really going to enjoy it. We're looking forward to sharing it with you. I also did want to thank all of you for hanging in there with us over the last couple months as we kind of played around and figured out really what our new format is going to be and how we're going to work this with Rick, who was doing it before, just took on another position in a job that was far more time consuming than I think he was anticipating. So thank you for hanging in there with us over these last couple months as well. We are very excited to partner with Union American Bistro in Castle Rock for these new excursions. The owner, Kim Heidemann, and her family have actually been volunteers with us in the Highlands Ranch, Littleton area for about 4 years now. Their oldest daughter was very involved through her high school in Rock Canyon, and now their younger daughter is doing the same. So it's kind of exciting to be able to take this friendship and even volunteer partnership to a new level. We did pre-record the segment that you're about to see with Kim and head chef Chris while they're making their delicious peach dishes and drinks. They couldn't really be with us at this time since they are both hard at work at the restaurant, and I think we would probably be a little annoying if we were going to try to record it right now at this point. So we do hope that you will enjoy these new excursions with us and the recipes that both Chris and Kim did produce. They really do make a great team, and the food was amazing. Walker and I got to sit down with them, as well as with Chris's daughter, Abby, afterwards to enjoy the fruits of their labor. And pun intended on that one, because our excursion is centered around the Palisade peaches today. Walker, if you want to take it away.
Yeah, sure. So, like Tanya said, we were able to eat some great food with Chef Chris and Kim and Chris's daughter Abby afterwards. So you'll see all of the making and stuff like that and final product in the video. But I will say, if you want to do this at home, we would highly recommend it. And I think this is a really cool element that we've added to our virtual excursions is, we've gone to some pretty exotic places before. We've gone to Ireland, we've gone to Morocco, we've gone to Spain, just countries that are, for some of us, a little bit out of reach in getting to. And we wanted to stick a little bit closer to home this time, which is why we chose to partner with Union, who does upscale American fare down in Castle Rock. And so with that in mind, we thought, what can we do? And the first one we wanted to get done was this Palisade peach season, which, as we all know, we produce some of the best peaches in the country just to our west in Palisade and the surrounding area. And we're really excited to share all of that with y'all. But one thing that we kind of wanted to start out with, and we'd love for you to participate in as well, is we were just trying to think of what are some of our favorite memories surrounding Palisade peaches. And as people who have lived in Colorado, Tanya's lived in Colorado for a little bit longer than I have. But even in just the time I've been here, I have some memories associated with Palisade peaches that really warm my heart. And I'm sure a lot of you do too. So if anyone does have a story that they'd like to share, please feel free to drop it in the chat so that other people can kind of see and experience some of the stuff that you have associated with Palisade peaches, because as we all know, they are delicious. So to kind of get us started on that train, I actually went up to Creede, Colorado this summer, or I should say down. It's kind of southern Colorado, but in the San Luis Valley. My great aunt and uncle have a cabin out there, and they're like second grandparents to me. So we went out there, my girlfriend and I, and my girlfriend got to meet my great aunt and uncle, which was really cool. But on the way back, we had to stop in, I think it might have been Fairplay or something like that. I can't remember, but we stopped in a little town and got a big basket of Palisade peaches. And truly, and I'm from Alabama. I'm from Auburn, Alabama, so the border of Alabama and Georgia. So I know about good peaches. I've been eating Georgia peaches for a lot of my life. These Palisades were some of the best I've ever had. And it just brought a smile to me and my girlfriend's face to be able to enjoy some Palisade peaches fresh picked, I'm sure. And I know Tanya has a good story about actually bringing one of the dishes that Chef Chris will show you in just a little bit. So yeah, Tanya, what was that story?
Well, right. So after we did our recording, I think we did it maybe on a Monday, Walker. That weekend, I did the appetizer that you're about to see and brought that to a little gathering with some friends. That was a little outdoor gathering, and it was a huge hit. I was a huge hit because I brought that. It was amazing. Everyone was raving about it. And I think you're going to be excited because it's super easy to make. And so it was super fun for me to make, knowing that it was something that we did for this virtual excursion. And it was quite the hit for the appetizer at this little gathering I was at. And I
That's
did use
awesome.
Palisade peaches bought from a corner near my house.
And I'm sure all have great memories associated with Palisade peaches, but that kind of brings us to the first part of our programming. So um, we love Palisade peaches and we think they're delicious, but I actually did not know much about the history and kind of just some facts associated with peaches and Palisade peaches before doing some research for this virtual excursion. So we'd love to take you on just a little informative tour, a short history of Palisade peaches in Colorado, and then we'll get to showing you the amazing dishes, which we've teased a little bit. Tanya said, told you about how much of a hit that appetizer was. And let me tell you, everybody, they are super easy recipes. So we would love to hear about it if you make them later. But yeah, just to kind of get to the history of Palisade peaches and agriculture in the Western Slope in general. So anyone who does a lot of Colorado history research might be familiar with John Harlow, who was one of the first settlers to really bolster agriculture out on the Western Slope. So John and his wife Jean Harlow came to Palisade in 1882, and they were instrumental in planting the first peach trees in Palisades. And John was always a pretty entrepreneuring guy, so he actually helped to spearhead a project to divert some of the Colorado River to Palisade and the surrounding area to make it a more fertile ground to bear fruit, among other things, but also just to be generally good for agriculture. Because if you've been out there, it can be a little desolate. It's not quite a desert, but there's not a lot of green and water outside of the valley that they were able to divert for the Colorado River. But they made a canal system, and John was instrumental in that. He helped to do all of that, and that has paved the way for Colorado's agricultural industry out there, which is part of a $41 billion industry today. That is a pretty incredible number that I don't think a lot of people know. I know that we do a lot of farming here in Colorado, but the actual yield of profit or just of dollars made is pretty astounding. That's $41 billion. And Palisade and the Western Slope are definitely considered a major boon in that industry for the fruit that they produce, but also other agriculture. So I would be remiss. I did tell you about John and Jean Harlow, and they actually did some great stuff with the diversion of the Colorado River to make agriculture possible out there. But they paved the way for Palisade peaches to really take off. So it wasn't just John and Jean. After a little bit, in a couple years, there were so many farmers producing peaches out there. It was staggering. And they actually were able to turn Palisade into one of the peach capitals of the world, at least according to us Coloradans. And Palisade actually has a peach festival that goes on every year. And I don't know if anyone here has been to that, but I've heard it's awesome. I'll show you some pictures from that in a little bit. So they really paved the way for some of the stuff that makes Palisade a awesome place to live now, and Grand Junction, all those areas, to really vitalize that area. But we do want to go over one thing. We would be remiss if we didn't mention that in 1881, the thing that paved the way for these awesome settlers to come in who did peaches and grapes and apricots and all this kind of stuff was the U.S. government forcibly removing the Ute tribe from that land. So that is, of course, with any part of Western expansion history, part of the narrative that we have to say. And No sugar coating there. They were forcibly removed, and that could be sometimes with violence, sometimes with massive coercion. And so that's something that we just need to recognize. But we can also recognize that Palisade does produce some of the finest peaches in the world, or at least the country. So yeah, like much of Colorado's agriculture, it's going strong to today. And as you can see, this is the Palisade Peach Festival with a nice couple who are selling just beautiful looking peaches. And as you can see, it's a pretty cool event, kind of like a state fair or a county fair. And here are just some fun facts about Palisade peaches and peaches in general. The peaches actually, and I didn't know this, they originated in China as a wild plant and were eventually cultivated and spread throughout the world. And they made it all the way here to Colorado. But to this day, and this is actually, some of these facts come straight from a peach farmer that got interviewed. Half of the peaches in the world are produced and consumed in China right now, which makes sense if they were the original country where they came from. And there are more white peaches than yellow peaches in the world. I actually prefer yellow peaches, I think, but and Palisades tend to be yellow, I believe, but the white peaches are awesome too, and they've spawned great things like nectarines and all that kind of stuff. But the life of an orchard, typically in Colorado, is about 20 years. So if you can imagine the work that it takes to cultivate and really make the soil fertile for an orchard to have it last 20 years, this is a labor of love. And I was actually reading an article about peaches and the people who produce them. And it really is, for even the families that are producing the most amount of peaches in the state, it takes a lot of work, a lot of dedication, and it's not the fruit that's going to yield you the most profit, although it is profitable. But these peach farmers have done it for generations and generations in some cases, and they're really committed to their craft. And so if you're thinking about doing any growing or gardening of peaches in Colorado, some recommended peach varieties are the Alberta, the Haven, the Polly, the Reliance, the Hailhaven, and or the Ranger. So if you're looking to do any of that, or if you know anybody who's looking to do that, give them these couple species, because these are ones that can be naturally pollinated here. And this is really cool. This happened this summer, I believe, or this peach season. A Palisade peach grower at the Black Bear Orchards in Palisade is claiming the title for biggest peach that's ever been grown in the world. The previous record, I think, was about 1.8 pounds. And so he has really blown that out of the water at 2.03 pounds. So just a little fun tidbit that you can hold over people from other states. We have grown the biggest peach in the world. And yeah, I guess other countries as well. But those are just some quick history, crash course history, and some fun facts about Palisade peaches. And now we would love to get into the meat of our programming and show you the recipes and cocktail that the great staff, Chef Chris, and the owner, Kim Heidemann of Union and American Bistro made for us. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then Tanya, do you mind if just letting me know if you could hear the sound by text?
I certainly will.
Welcome in to Union and American Bistro in Castle Rock. Take it away, Chef Chris.
Welcome, everybody. Hi, I'm Chris, and I'm a chef here at Union American Bistro. And today I would like to walk you through just a little bit, or just a couple of dishes here of what we like to serve and what you guys could make at home as well. We'll show you a little bit of the ingredients here in just a second, but we're going to make for you today a peach and burrata panini with shaved prosciutto, arugula, some extra virgin olive oil, and balsamic vinegar. We're also going to do a little appetizer that's kind of fun, and this could be passed around your patios and during the afternoon, or as a beginning to, and frankly, any meal right now. We are kind of in peach season, so that's what we're going to do today. So we can kind of get into kind of the ingredients that we have and what we're going to use today. Okay, folks, so we kind of have everything laid out in front of you here. So this is all the ingredients that we're going to need to make both dishes today. So I'll kind of just point out right now, starting from here, we have fresh arugula, our fresh basil, Hoagie, we use a 6-inch hoagie roll, but you can use any type of white bread or type of roll that you would like. Here we have sliced prosciutto. Gotta have fresh Palisade peaches. We're in peach season here in Colorado for sure. This is our burrata cheese, which is essentially fresh pulled mozzarella that kind of surrounds a ball of ricotta cheese in a little pocket. We also, for our appetizer today, have little fresh mozzarella balls, our balsamic vinegar, extra virgin olive oil, some skewers that we'll use that'll help us eat our appetizer, and of course, with everything that you make, you always want to season it, so we've got a little bowl of salt and pepper right here. What we'll go ahead and do is we'll start our prep for the peach appetizer. We're calling these fresh peach and mozzarella bites. So what we're going to do here, I'm sorry, I should be explaining this here. So I started in the middle, and we're just going to cut around the pit of the peach. When you get a good fresh peach like this, it's super easy just to twist, and they almost fall apart. I prefer at this point in time to just kind of cut around the peach pit here. And that pit falls right out, and we'll just scoot him off to the side right here. From this point in time, we're going to pretty much cut this into 6 different wedges. So we'll just kind of come down once, twice, and then we'll pick our other peach up here on the side and go once and twice. This is going to give us a good base to put our skewers in and to be able to stack all of our other ingredients in. So at this point in time, we'll go ahead and open up this prosciutto. And we went ahead and picked this up at one of our local markets down here too, just as proof that it doesn't matter if you're in the middle of town or far away. You can pick this up anywhere, as long as your market provides. Okay, that's not going to work. So we're going to cut that aside. So from this point in time, we're just going to pull out one of our slices of prosciutto as carefully as we can, and we're going to lay it down flat on our cutting board or whatever surface that you're prepping on here. Then that way we can take one of our peaches, we'll stick in the middle, and we're just going to roll them up. And if parts of the prosciutto fall apart on you a little bit, that's okay, because you're just going to keep rolling it until it's fully covered. From there, we're going to take one of our mozzarella balls, fresh mozzarella is extremely awesome, but it is also extremely bland. So before you go ahead and do anything with fresh mozzarella, I like to just season it with a little salt and pepper. At the same time, we're going to take our fresh basil. We're just going to gently pull the leaves off the stem here. And then if they are super huge leaves like this, we can go ahead and cut those in half. If you try to eat a whole piece of basil, it's not very good on the tongue. But we're gonna set our mozzarella ball on top of the basil, and then we're gonna place both of these on top of our prosciutto wrapped peach wedge. We're gonna go ahead and stick a skewer through all of it so it sticks together. From this point in time, we can go ahead and just put him on a platter, a plate, whatever you're going to serve this on. And we're going to repeat this process through the rest of these peaches here to make a full appetizer plate. And so now what we've done is we've gotten all of our little peach bites wrapped in prosciutto, stuck on our skewers, and we've got them on our plate. Like I said, whatever platters or servingware you would like to serve them on. You can arrange these however you want. But what we're going to do now is I'm just going to finish it with a little bit of extra virgin olive oil here. And all I'm going to do with that is we're just going to take a spoon. If you guys have this in your bottle, you could just drizzle it just enough, a little bit over the cheese, and so that it kindly coats the prosciutto a little bit. And it just gives you just enough of a flavor, and it also gives your dish kind of a sheen. If we were doing this in a restaurant setting, you could also add some of your balsamic vinegar to this. I happen to have a balsamic syrup that you can also purchase at your local market. Sometimes it's just harder to find. But for us, what I would do is we're just going to go kind of in a back and forth motion here and add just a little drizzle. This is going to add just enough sweetness and a little bit of tartness to kind of balance out all the fat that's in your in the mozzarella cheese and help with kind of the saltiness of the prosciutto. And folks, that's just about it for the appetizer. Okay, guys, so you saw how that appetizer went. We went ahead and finished that up. I think we're going to roll right into the panini now. You could tell that appetizer too. I like it because it's kind of simple and it didn't take us any more than 5 to 8 minutes to prepare. And you can do that in any size kitchen, anybody's backyard, pretty much anywhere you want to go. And I think now we're going to go ahead and move into the panini. All right, so now moving into our panini here, what we're going to do is, like I said, you can use any type of white, wheat, sourdough, whatever kind of roll you would like. Today we're just using a white 6-inch hoagie. These ones have already been sort of pre-cut for us, so we're going to go ahead and just finish cutting them in half. So we have 2. And what I always like to do, and then what we do in the restaurant too, is when we make these, we have to make 15 of them at a time. So I always make sure the bottom's on the bottom and the top is kind of making a T so I don't get confused. So we're going to make 2 of them for you here. And we'll just set our bread out just like this. Now, I guess actually setting these up here, we should have started, we're going to cut this peach into wedges just like we did for the appetizer. So we're going to go just around the pit. It's going to twist off just like this. We're going to cut the rest of this pit out right quick. And then we're going to do it with just one more peach here. And we'll twist this apart just like this. And we'll just cut this little peach bit out here. So we're going to cut this guy just into 6 wedges again. So we're going to go 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3, and so on and so forth. And we'll just scooch these little guys to the side over here. What we're going to start to do here is we're going to put our fresh arugula down. This arugula for this sandwich is going to act kind of like when you make a turkey sandwich with lettuce and tomatoes, so to speak. It kind of adds that crunch, but with your sweetness of the peach and your kind of salty fattiness of the burrata, this has just kind of a peppery element to it that really, really accelerates this sandwich to the next level, so to speak. And it's really pretty simple here. We're just going to put a little bit of arugula down. And of course, like I said before, we season everything in. Kitchen here. But we're going to take our peach wedges here, and we're just going to line them up. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and depending on the size of your bread or what you're using, 5 is what's going to fill our bread here. So you pretty much get a bite of everything in every bite you take in the sandwich. So we're going to do it again here. 2, 3, 4, 5. And here comes my favorite part of it is we're going to go back to our sliced prosciutto here. And in this, we're going to take the slice and kind of just drizzle them, so to speak, into little flowers. We'll do a couple of pieces on each sandwich. So yet again, you want this prosciutto, like every other ingredient we have in the sandwich, to cover the whole entire bread. So you get a bite of everything in each bite here. Plus, when you layer the prosciutto this way, as you take a bite, it won't. When you take a bite, it won't just pull it all out of the sandwich as well. station. So now we're going to take our burrata. This was that ricotta that's wrapped in fresh mozzarella. It's one of my favorite cheeses. And they come in little balls just like this. I'm pretty sure we can do one ball per sandwich because it is pretty strong, thick cheese here. But we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to cut this guy into slices. Probably about 5 of them. This cheese is like the fresh mozzarella balls that we use for our appetizer. It really needs to be seasoned, otherwise you're going to eat this and think it's really bland. So we will season this just to this, and then what we're going to do is I'm just going to pick the whole ball up and try and spread it across the top of our sandwich. This also, when we put the top piece of the bread on, is going to help kind of glue it all together so this whole sandwich doesn't fall apart. We'll go ahead and do it on this side too. And then, kind of like our appetizer here, we're just going to give them a little drizzle of extra virgin olive oil. Just like that. On this sandwich, we're not going to use the syrup. We're just going to drizzle a little balsamic syrup as well. And this is going to give you that kind of sweet and tart that you want to kind of round out your cheese, and it works really well with peaches and arugula. The only other addition that will probably not be in the recipe, but I will do it for this video purpose here, we already have our basil out that we used in our appetizer. So what I like to do, this will add a little floral element to all of these ingredients in here. We just pick all the leaves off of our basil stems, and I like to try to keep them as whole as I possibly can and roll them. And then we're just going to really finely chop. This particular type of cut is actually called a chiffonade, which literally means into ribbons. And as you can see here, it kind of turns our basil leaves into ribbons. But if I just sprinkle a little bit on top here, it'll really, really help this sandwich out. And then to go ahead and finish, we just top it with our top bun. And I'm going to talk about a different couple of ways to actually cook this sandwich. We're going to start in our panini maker, but we will get to the other couple of ways to do this sandwich here in just a minute. Okay guys, so now that we've got our sandwiches assembled, now it's time to cook it right. So we happen to have a panini maker here at the restaurant. I know there are a ton of panini makers out there for home use, and I think they range from smaller to larger as well. And I'd like to get into a couple of different ways of how you could do the sandwich without having to use a panini maker if you don't have one. So we're just going to very carefully place our sandwiches on our maker here. We're going to let this panini maker do its thing. Should take about 3.5 or 4 minutes. While these are cooking here, I really just want to talk about a couple of different ways. So what I have here is just a couple of your pretty much standard size saute pans. So if you would like to get kind of the same result, you could go ahead and heat both of these pans up on your stovetop on medium-high heat for a couple of minutes, and do the same thing like I just did here. You can set your sandwich down in the middle, place your other hot pan on top, and just leave it on medium to medium-high heat for about 3.5 or 4 minutes. It'll give you the same result. And if you're kind of like me, you're just like, man, I just want to make this sandwich and be able to eat it and have it delicious and easy, you can always preheat your oven to 350 or 375 and put them on a non-stick baking sheet and go ahead and stick those in your oven for about 8 to 10 minutes. And it'll still give you a nice crispy outside. It's gonna heat everything up on the inside, melt your cheese, and melt all these flavors together here. All right, so we can see here our sandwiches are nice and toasty on the outside. I bet once we cut into them in the middle, they're going to be nice and ooey gooey on the inside, just the way we like it. So we'll take them off of our feeding mixture here. Like I said, you could be either pulling them out of your oven or taking them off of your saute pans, like I had mentioned, but we're just going to get them out on our boards here. Give them a nice cut down the, on it, like a bias is what we refer to it as. And you can plate these to your liking, or you can just leave them the way they are. Oh yeah. Then it's just always customary. At the restaurant and at my house too, we serve all of our sandwiches with pickles, and that is that.
Hi, my name is Kim Heidemann. I am the owner of Union and American Bistro in beautiful downtown Castle Rock. Today we are going to be making a Colorado peach martini, which Union is famous for our martinis. Our ingredients consist of peach puree, Tito's vodka, orange juice, cranberry juice, and champagne. You can make your own peach puree, or you can buy a pre-made peach puree. Just take a couple peaches, take the pit out, puree it with a little bit of water and some lemon juice, and you can even store that in the freezer if you don't use it all, or pour it into ice cube trays and pop it out. Just for ease of the drink, we bought an already made peach puree. And I feel like a really fun summer garnish is going to be fresh mint and sliced peaches. And if you're like me, you have mint coming out of your ears in your garden right now. So it's a very good way to use it up. So our recipe is going to be, first, we buy these wonderful martini shakers on Amazon. They're about $25 a piece. You can find them other places as well online, but we find these to be the best kind of bang for your buck. So for this recipe, we have 2 ounces of peach puree. You do not have to measure at home. I just find it to be a little bit more accurate. So 2 ounces of the peach puree. We're gonna do 4 ounces of vodka. If you don't wanna make it with any alcohol, you can always sub sparkling grape juice, would be great in this, to make it a mocktail. And I feel like the peach is sweet, so we need to balance out the sweetness of the peach with a little acidity for the orange juice. We're gonna do 2 ounces of orange juice. And the cranberry juice doesn't have any sweetness in it. And then we're gonna finish that off with just a little bit of champagne. We call those bubbles. If you don't want to use champagne, you can use soda water or tonic. We'll do the same thing, which also just makes a more balanced drink. Put our shaker top on. We're gonna shake it up. And what every great cocktail needs is plenty of ice. There you have it, the perfect summer porch cocktail.
god, it was all so good.
It was delicious.
so
Thank
good.
you.
That was right on. Yep, I agree. That was fantastic.
So, Chris, why peaches? Like, why are we doing peaches today?
Because we are in the middle of peach season right now, and if anybody wants to contest me with this, I will go toe to toe with them any day. These peaches come from Palisades out near Grand Junction, where I know you guys a little help are at too, and I'll give you guys a shout out for that too, because it's an amazing organization and you guys do great. But you also make great peaches. I don't think there's any better in this whole country, maybe in this whole world.
Fantastic. We like it.
Well,
Let's
cheers
cheers
to
to
that.
it.
Cheers.
Cheers.